Today, we'll talk about identity. But what is identity? I've been to some cafes for some philosophic talks, and even there, the definition of identity was problematic. It was kept too much at a surface level. Identity is not just your personal tastes. Yes, that's how identities may begin in your teenage years, but identities are much more than that. Your identity isn't just your profession either. Nor is it simply the geographic area you live in or your national flag or any of the new flags we see in culture today. So, what then is identity? Its common definition hints at being your true self, since identity is the fact of being who a person is, the characteristics determining who that person is. And funny enough, although we often think of identity as something individual, its etymology, the root of the word, comes from the word meaning sameness. More specifically, though, to have an identity is to be able to present an understanding of who you are, and by extension, what the fundamental defining characteristics of a human being are. It is not just my tastes, desires, hopes, and opinions, but rather defining the ground, the foundation that makes all of my tastes, desires, hopes, and opinions intelligible. Let's take a moment to explore two obsolete approaches to identity. The first is what has been called pre-modern. It is your place in a larger order, whether it's the old cosmic order of nature or God, or I'd even include your place in today's society, such as a corporate hierarchy or whatever. And being situated in this defined order answers for the person the deepest questions concerning who they are and what role they play. This is where they get their meaning. This horizon is an external one. The second approach to identity is the modern or postmodern one. This one sees individuals as natural beings characterized by a set of inner drives or goals or desires or aspirations. And knowing what I am really about is getting clear about these things. A lot of times that's what people mean by knowing themselves. You know, they know their desires. This horizon is an internal one. But both of these are untenable. So the pre-modern established order is intolerant and discriminatory, whereas the modern postmodern subjectivism is a dead end. It leads to self-enclosedness and or fragmentation. A vision of the disengaged rational self, grounded on the model of self-clarity and control, contradicts that of a concrete being who grows and becomes. I can only know myself through the history of maturations and regressions, overcomings and defeats. So this rationality that we often speak of is just, it doesn't work. A new approach has been put forth. To define my identity is to define what I must be in contact with in order to function fully as a human agent. It is to be able to judge and discern and recognize what is really of worth or importance, both in general and for me. The full definition of one's identity involves not only a person's own stand on moral, political, spiritual matters, but also some reference to a defining community, an already constituted social understanding of great temporal depth. So we see that the identity goes beyond yourself. Society is thus the locus of an individual's identity, which means that our sense of self is grounded in a framework of meaning, a horizon. And here, a horizon is the background out of which we make choices about our identity. This background is often not clearly articulated and understood by the majority, but it expresses the particular ideal that is behind our intentions, choices, and reactions. It shapes our sense of who we are and the moral realm we inhabit. It constitutes our normative idea of human authenticity. So, for an identity to be authentic, it must be based on an ideal that structures life. My choices and decisions are ordered around this ideal. Consequently, I do what I ought to do, not merely what I want to do. So again, right here we see that the authenticity that goes like that that's common in our society is just misguided right now. Furthermore, it is possible to transcend our subjectivity authentically, thereby allowing us to incarnate objectivity. But we're very used to talking about objectivity as like rational, scientific, materialistic, I don't know, framework or something like that. But this is not what we're talking about, right? Since we are language and embodied beings, this objectivity is in speech and action. We speak and we live out the human experience, the authentic human experience. This was the chapter, The Structure of Identity by Meaning and by well, it was Charles Taylor's work that was summarized in this little chapter, um, and it's from the book Meaning and Authenticity. Okay, I had it's just what I'm gonna do this week. It was only like 5 pages that I've covered here, but it was a busy week, so I can't really do more than that. See you guys next week. By the way, we'll see if the Montreal Canadiens qualify for the playoffs tonight. Gotta step up their game.